People have this weird thing about comedy where they think it can be done just in the corner of a room.
Yeah.
Without a thing. I'll tell you the worst one that ever happened to me. I did, and incidentally, Prince Harry was at this gig. I did a private gig, and it was because it was when he was in the army.
Yeah.
I did a gig for these soldiers, and it was like their Christmas thing.
How many?
400 of them. 400 of them. They're all sitting in like a mess hall, and they're in tuxedos. With their army wives.
Could you see Harry? Could you pick him out of the crowd?
Oh, yeah, this is the whole thing. The room, it was like a basketball court, like type room. And I was lit the same as they were, and I was just standing at the end.
Oh, that's never good.
And there was like a guy in the room who no one was talking to, and he was like a bit of an outcast, and there'd been a bit of a brawl and all this type of stuff. And I didn't know what was going on. And then one of the sergeants stands up before he brings me on, he goes, now, before we got some entertainment tonight, a young man here is going to be doing some comedy. And he was actually posh English. And he goes, and first of all, I'd like to mention that, so Lieutenant Johnson over there, a lot of you have been getting very angry at him this evening. And look, I'll tell the story. I think you all know what happened. At this function last year, he was with Lieutenant Lincoln. I just picked two presidents' names for some reason. Lieutenant Lincoln and Lieutenant Johnson, and they were best friends. And anyway, they got drunk and they drove home. And then he points out the window, and then he smashed the car into that tree over there. And Lincoln was dead on contact. Now, I know a lot of your emotions are running high right now, but I've learned to forgive him, and I think you should too, right?
Wow.
And then some woman went...
Now for some comedy.
Then a woman yelled out, he goes, "That was my fucking husband, you fucking bastard!" Like that, right? He goes, "Anyway, let's move on."
Oh, my God.
Now for some comedy, right? He had a big, booming staff marshal voice.
Wow.
And then they handed me the microphone. It was literally plugged in to a karaoke machine. And I tried to do my sort of, you know what I think about the world rubbish, and they're all screaming at each other, and then the sergeant comes in, I'm 5 minutes in, and I'm just doing that thing in my brain, 20 minutes, and then you run out of the building, right? Meet your contract agreement. And then I got to like 5 minutes, and the staff master guy pulled the microphone out of my hand, and like I was a little kid, he went, "Look, I saw this bloke in a comedy club, and he was very good. So if you could all please pay attention." And he handed it back to me like this. And it was like having your dad stick up for you in a fight, like...
It's the same guy that we talked about.
Yeah, I lost all... And then I remember because it was at it's like Sandhurst or whatever, the big place in Britain. It's now in Windsor Castle.
Well, Eton is near Windsor.
No, Eton's a school. This is the actual army base.
Yeah, Sandhurst is a military academy, right?
Yeah. Well, no, it's whatever the military base was out near Windsor Castle.
Yeah, okay.
And the problem was to get there. It had like a 2-mile driveway to where we were.
Whoa!
Like it was in the middle of this whole complex.
Yeah.
So I had to get a cab. And then I stood out the front waiting for this cab to get onto the thing, and I had to have stuff to get me back to the train station.
England.
And then, but then I'm just...
You can't call an Uber?
Well, this is back in about 2005.
All right,
this is back in the day. And then, but I remember I just stood outside with everyone. Everyone came out for a smoke, and people were just, "You were shit." And I just had to stand there.
Wow.
So anyway, in conclusion, try not to get too many of those gigs before you've got your self-esteem up.